still morning, with a few more minutes. Just a couple of shout-outs. Open Tech. I graduated from Open Tech a long time ago. And Terrance, Ruthie and I have been working with you all for the past over 15 years, and we're happy to see you here as well. We're the premier program for the California Lawyers Foundation, and we focus on increasing diversity in the legal profession by working especially with students like you in the law academies. Our ultimate goal is to have a legal profession that reflects the rich diversity of the state of California, so that we're sure that all of our communities are represented through you, through your colleagues, and through those who can be after you. This means that we create programs, provide resources to support you as students, you as teachers, your advisory work, and your volunteers so that you're all successful as you work your way through the law academy and post-graduation, whatever your choices, wherever you plan to go, what your education plans are, your career plans, and so forth. We know that many of you are considering becoming lawyers, which is what we hope you will do, or to engage in other law-related careers. Other things that you will see when you go on your tour at the end of the legislative offices are the consider things like the courts, becoming a judge. If you're a lawyer for at least 10 years, you can apply to the governor's office to be appointed as a judge. We need diverse judges as well. The judges are individuals that apply the laws, are fair, they're objective, and they are unbiased in the way they view the cases that you as lawyers present, and you as lawyers provide access to the judicial system for all of the members of our community. The other thing to consider when you walk through the legislative offices is becoming an elected official. It's really important that we have all of you consider and becoming elected officials. You don't have to be a lawyer. You can become an elected official at the city level, at the county level, at the state level, and at the national level. Why is that important? We want to be sure that you, as representatives of our various communities, have a seat at the table. As David Bowen mentioned, the legislature creates the laws. They create the policies that we live by. If you're not representing your community at the table, we don't have our interests represented. And the laws that get passed might not apply to us, might be negative, might impact us in a negative way. So consider in the future when you graduate, when you do your civic engagement project, what it would be like to run for office. And if you look at the news, you find that there are a lot of young people considering running for office. A lot younger than in the past. And that's what we need, a new generation and young generation to represent us and to take us forward into the future. So at this point, I have the honor of introducing the president of the California Lawyers Association, Terrance J. He's the president and immediate past chair of the California Lawyers Association, the largest volunteer state bar association in the United States, representing the interests of more than 260,000 lawyers in the state of California. He's the first person of color and the first black person in California history elected to these high-profile positions. So his day job turns the department in the firm of Williams Morris, where he is the co-leader of the firm's banking and financial services practice. He also practices in insurance law and he concentrates his practice on complex commercial litigation and policy interpretation and analysis. In his over 20 years of legal practice, he has distinguished himself with victories for his planned multi-million-dollar cases in federal and state trial and appellate courts across the nation, including before the U.S. Supreme Court, and has been recognized both locally and nationally for his professional accomplishments, including positions with the Minority Corporate Council, the American Bar Association, the American Business Trial Lawyers of Northern California, and with special honors in the NAACP and the Congressional Black Caucus. He made history distinguishing himself as a leader in multiple bar associations at the local, state, and national level. And just this last year, he was recognized by the San Francisco Reporter as one of the most impactful law firm leaders in California. But especially important for us is his sustained involvement promoting and protecting diversity, equity, and inclusion in the legal profession, judiciary, and community. He has been honored multiple times as a leader promoting DEI issues and civil rights throughout the United States and around the world. He has spoken at more than 250 diversity and inclusion programs and civil rights programs in partnership with more than 65 law schools, bar associations, colleges, universities, high schools, law firms, churches, and other organizations. He frequently appears on national, local TV, and radio discussing cases from the United States Supreme Court, California courts, on important legislation and civil rights issues. He's co-chair of the Glenn Morris Diversity and Inclusion Committee. He regularly counsels his clients regarding racial justice and diversity and inclusion issues. He's led dozens of diversity trainings for judges, lawyers, law students, and members of the community around the United States. During his legal career, he has raised more than $850,000 for scholarships for underrepresented students, and has also created 5 annual scholarships that have provided tens of thousands of dollars to underprivileged students across the nation. My honor to introduce you to Terrance J, President of CLA.
Well, good evening, everyone. I know you've been sitting for a long time, so can you all stand and just give yourselves a round of applause for sitting? Thank you very much. You may be seated. I want to thank all of you for being here and being part of this incredible program. I want to thank Ruthie Ashley and Jerry and the entire staff of the California Warriors Association and California Warriors Foundation. Can we give them a round of applause? I'm going to share a little bit of my journey with you, and I also have a call to action, because we are living right now in a critical moment in American history. It is a moment that cries out for leadership. It is a moment that cries out for strength. And the folks in this room are the future of the country. They're the future of the state. They're the future of the city. And it is going to take all of you coming together to change our future. It is going to take all of you to change our community. I'm going to share a few stories from my background so you can understand where I've come from and where you can go. I grew up in Los Angeles, California. I didn't grow up in a very wealthy family. My father was a janitor. My mother cleaned houses. They did the best they could to invest in me and invest in my future. There were times where we did not have resources to pay our bills. I remember my mother calling and making arrangements because she didn't want the lights cut off, she didn't want the telephone cut off, calling to see if she could get a little bit more time. There were times where we didn't have enough food in the house. I remember there was a moment where the only thing we had in the house was 1 can of clam chowder, and my mother fixed that for us because there was nothing else that we had. We was always struggling. My parents were always trying to make it, but they had a vision that one day, if they invested in me, that I could make myself into something and I could become something. I remember when I started applying to colleges and universities, I had no idea how I was going to pay for it. I applied for as many scholarships as I could, hoping to put together enough resources to continue my education. And I was fortunate because of organizations like this. I was able to get enough scholarship money so that I could go to Cornell University. And I remember while I was there, I was so poor that I never had enough money to come home during the breaks. I would always be the one that had to stay on campus. I worked multiple jobs while I was in school. I was a resident advisor. I worked on the firm website. I did whatever I could just to make ends meet. It seemed like every year the tuition got a little bit higher, and I was struggling just trying to make it. There were times where I barely had enough food. I would look and I would find that there were different events taking place. Sometimes it would be the Asian students, it would be the Hispanic students, it would be the Black students, it would be the engineering students having a pizza party. And I would go not because I was necessarily part of that community, but because I had nowhere else to go just to get basic food to get through. But I knew that if I kept fighting, that if I kept working, if I kept trying, eventually I could get across the threshold. And I remember just before my graduation, I wasn't sure if my parents would be able to come to New York, where I would be graduating from Cornell University, and they got their tax refund. And it was just enough money to cover the plane tickets for them to come to New York, but they didn't have enough money for a hotel. And I remember I went to the resident advisor and I said, you know what, my parents can't afford a hotel, but they want to see me graduate. Can you let my parents stay in the dorm? My parents stayed in the dorm because they wanted to see their baby graduate. They had done everything they could. They saved every penny. They did everything they could, and they just wanted to see me cross the finish line. They stayed in the dorm. I got through Cornell University. The next step was to get to law school. I applied to multiple law schools. I applied to multiple scholarship programs. But even with that, I still had to work. I worked about 30 hours a week at night, putting myself through law school, because I had a dream that if I could get a legal education, I could come back and I could make a difference in my community. I could make a difference in the lives of my parents who had worked so hard and sacrificed so much. I worked hard, I got through law school, and I got to that last semester. I had just made third place in the Frederick Douglass Moot Court competition. There was a huge banner outside of Loyola Law School celebrating my victory. And shortly after that victory, I received a letter from the law school telling me that they were going to kick me out just a few weeks before graduation because I had a balance of $7,000 and I had nowhere to get the money. My parents didn't have the money. I couldn't make enough money to pay it. I couldn't borrow enough money because my credit was shot trying to get myself through school. I had no idea where I would get the money, but I decided I wasn't going to give up. I decided they weren't going to crush my dreams. So I walked into the registrar's office and I said, I have worked my ass off at this school. I have won championships. I've made the dean's list. I'm a few weeks from graduation. You are not going to kick me out of this school. I don't know where you're going to get the money, but if you try to kick me out, I'm going to go to every news organization. I'm going to go to every newspaper and I'm going to say, this is the way you treat black people. You brought me in here, you used me for recruiting, and then you threw me out right before graduation. I said, that will not happen. The registrar said, just wait a minute. You don't have to go to the news. You don't have to go to the newspapers. We'll figure this out. They called me back a couple of days later, and they said, you don't have to worry about the $7,000. I never paid that money. I don't know where they got it from, but I graduated. I passed the bar exam, and I began my law practice. And it was my dream that once I finally started doing well, I wanted to invest in my community. I wanted to help my parents. So one of the first things I did when I started making real money as a lawyer is I bought my mother a car. She had a very old beat-up car that she was driving. She needed something. She could not afford it. And I called my mom and I said, Mom, I got something special for you. It was for Mother's Day. I bought her a brand new SUV. It was a dream come true. The next dream I had is I wanted to give my father a car. He had this old pickup truck. It was a stick shift. He had arthritis. It was a struggle for him. He had worked his whole life. I bought my dad a car. I then wanted to buy my parents a house that they couldn't afford. They had struggled. They had tried so much. I bought my parents a house. I invested in my family. I didn't forget where I came from. Sometimes when people get successful, they think about their own success. They think about their own material wealth, and they forget about those who got them to where they are. But I did not forget where I came from. I said, I'm going to bring my family along with me. And I want you to remember that because all of you will be successful. All of you will make a difference. And when you start making that difference, I don't want you to forget about the people who helped get you across the finish line. After I made that difference in the lives of my parents, I said, I want to invest in my community. I want to help the next generation of brilliant minds so that they will have the resources to change their community. I reflected during my last year of law school that there was an organization in Los Angeles called the Black Women Warriors of Los Angeles. They offered this bar scholarship. And at the time, I didn't have money to pay for the bar exam or the review courses. And I said, you know what, I'm not a black woman, but I do want to apply for this Black Woman Scholarship. So I applied. And I was the first black man in history to win the Black Women Warriors of Los Angeles Scholarship. And that money helped me to pay for the exam and the review courses and made my legal career possible. So I started a scholarship program in partnership with the California Lawyers Association, and we joined forces with the Asian American Bar Associations, the Hispanic Bar Associations, the Black Bar Associations, the LGBTQ Bar Associations, the Native American Bar Associations, and we have given hundreds of thousands of dollars in scholarships to the future. You are the future, to make sure that there are people who will have the resources they need to go back to their communities and to make a difference. We have been paying it forward. You are the future that we have been working on. You are the ones that we have been laboring in the vineyard so that there would be someone to take the baton and carry it on. I want all of you to know that if I were able to overcome all of the challenges that I came over, all of the poverty that I had to overcome, all of the resources that I didn't have that I had to get over, if I was able to get through all of that, all of you can get through whatever you're going through. I don't care what the adversity is. I don't care if it's financial. I don't care if you're having problems in your family. I don't care if you're having a difficult time in school. If I was able to get through it, you can get through it. You can be whatever you want to be. You can accomplish whatever you want. It is because of those resources that were invested in me that I was able to become the first black partner at my law firm, elevated from associate in 125 years. It was because of those resources that were invested in me that I became the first person of color to chair the Leadership Development Committee of the largest trial lawyer bar association in the state of California. It is because of those resources that were invested in me that I became the first person of color to chair the largest state bar association in the United States. And it is because of those resources invested in me that I stand before you today as the first person of color in history to lead the largest state bar association voluntary in the United States of America. I did that because you invested in me. And so today with this program, we are investing in you because you are the future. You are the ones who are going to make the difference. No one else is coming to save us. No one else is going to come to the rescue. It is going to be you. And I want you to know you don't need to doubt yourself. You don't need to think that you can't do it. You can do anything. You're just as smart as anybody else. You're just as capable as anybody else. You just have to apply yourself. Because sometimes opportunities only come once. And you want to be ready when that opportunity comes. You want to show that you are ready to take it. And once you get there, I want you to remember where you came from. I don't want you to get so caught up in yourself, getting yourself a fancy car, house, or whatever it is. That can come later. Take care of your family. Take care of your community. Make sure that after you make it, that the people behind you will also have the opportunity to make it. Because we need generational change. We need generational wealth. We need generational investment. And that comes from us investing in you and you investing in the next generation. I want you to take advantage of everything that this program has available to you. Take advantage of all the resources. Get involved in your community and think about ways that you can make things better. You can do anything. I believe in you. All of us believe in you. And if you ever need a bit of encouragement, just reach out. Thank you again for this opportunity.
All right, you guys. What did you think